Hello, BookTube. Just now I saw a video on Plots and Points' channel. He does on every Saturday. He does a sit down Saturday sort of informal discussion video about whatever larger subject is on his mind that day. And today it was the relationship between an author and a book reviewer. And he wasn't happy. He was drinking to dull his pain, and I don't blame him, because he was talking about the rising prevalence on BookTube of sponsored book reviews, and the confusion on his face is matched by the confusion on my face when you mention a thing called a sponsored book review. Once this is a thing where a publisher goes to some booktuber, probably with a large audience, although there are plenty of smaller ones who are hungry to be contacted in just that way. God save them. And says, we'd like to send you this book, and the promotional kit will let you know what, the rough window of the publication date, and we'd love it if you'd mention the book on your channel. And the form this usually takes on BookTube, I'm sure you've seen your share of them, is for the person to say yes, of course, take the money, get the book, not read it, and then say at the beginning of their video, I was given this book in exchange for an honest opinion, and here it is. And of course, as I've said on this channel, and many other people have said on other channels, that's a lie. If you have been paid to notice something, you are no longer objective. And anything you say about that something should be immediately dismissed. You cannot offer an objective opinion of something if you're paid to do that. And even if by chance you do, if in your heart of hearts you're thinking, well, my soul is still pure, no one in their right mind should believe that they're hearing anything objective. You have lost the benefit of the doubt if you take money to notice something. It's completely different when a larger organization, when a journal or a newspaper gets a book and they've been sent hundreds, and they decide what they're going to notice, and you get paid for the review down the line. That's obviously completely different. There are no levers of influence working there. But BookTube is very different from that. And more publishers are realizing that. More and more publishers are realizing, well, hey, this person has direct visual access to 10,000 likely customers. Why not offer them a deal? Why not get them to talk about this book? Wouldn't that be great for the book? Plots and Points mentions in his video that the more of those things that happen on BookTube, the more we adulterate our own good name. And he's entirely right. As I've said on this channel, as other people have said, that those sorts of deals shouldn't exist. And if they're done, they should be looked upon by everyone as what they are, which is paid advertising. When a spokesperson gets in front of a camera in a commercial and sings the praises of a certain washer or dryer, you don't believe them. You know you're looking at a commercial. That's exactly how those things should be viewed on BookTube. And it seemed to me, watching his video, I'll leave a link to it down below, but it seemed to me there was a particular thing stuck in his craw. A particular video that he was either too blurry on the details to be specific about, or too gentlemanly to be specific about. He mentioned that he recently seen a video by an indie author on BookTube in which she said that negative reviewing was trolling. And although he might have been too gentlemanly to get into specifics, as you all know, on this channel that ship has already sailed. That independent author and booktuber was Mandy Lynn, who made a video 2 weeks ago about why you should review books. And her answer to that question boiled down pretty much to one thing, and that was to support the author, guys. She opens her video with a statement with which I agree completely, that a book review is the holy grail of what you can do for a book. And then she proceeds to adulterate the whole idea of what a book review is by saying you should praise the book to support the author, because we're out here trying to make a living. And at one point in her video says the line that I think stuck in Plots and Points' craw, it's certainly stuck in my craw, which is that negative reviewing, telling people don't buy this book, is trolling. That's a horrifyingly wrong way to look at things, and nothing will adulterate the relationship between the author and the reader faster or more thoroughly than anyone thinking that. That is, I don't know how actually Mandy Lynn is hopes for a long publishing career of her own. I don't know how she could have gotten to this point in that career of hers and still think nonsense like that. It must be that she thinks that her subscribers on BookTube are a fan base, and that could be true, but that has nothing to do with book reviewing. The relationship between a book reviewer and an author is adversarial. Okay? We can boil down all of the folderol to one word, and that word is adversarial. The author is trying to waste your time and money, and the book reviewer is trying to spare your time and money. Okay? So if the author writes something and the book reviewer reads it and thinks, this is well worth your time and money, the book reviewer will say so. But the book reviewer, is a good one, will be inclined not to. They will be saying, okay, well, there are 80 million books out there. They all want a piece of you. And that's kind of inhospitable. You have a lot in your life that already wants a piece of you. So I'm here to tell you whether or not this deserves a piece of you. I will give you a rundown because I already read it. That is not the same thing as supporting an author. And if an author does a crappy job, you are not trolling to say to people, don't buy this book. That is not trolling. That is doing your job as a book reviewer. Her video left me with the impression that she just doesn't understand what a book review is. And if that was my impression, it was certainly solidified by the end of her video when she says, well, now to demonstrate what I've been talking about, despite the fact that I don't do book reviews on my channel, I'm going to now review a book. I'm going to review The Savior's Champion by Jenna Moreci, who's another independent author who has a BookTube channel likewise devoted to selling her own wares. But like Mandy Lynn, Jenna Moreci also makes instructional videos on writing, editing, beta readers, getting published, stuff that intentionally or not shifts both of them into the instructor realm. And someone who has stylized themselves in any way, even a little unconsciously, as an instructor on the world of letters, ought to know better than to characterize book reviewing the way Mandy Lynn does. And of course, the thing that she does to Savior's Champion by Jenna Moreci is not a book review. The closest that she comes, in her own mind, I'm sure she thinks that this was dotting the I's and crossing the T's on her objectivity cred, was to say that the book is loaded with obscenities. And that if you don't like obscenities on the printed page, you maybe ought to avoid it. Maybe ought to read something else. But never a thought to whether or not the loading of obscenities in Savior's Champion might be a flaw. Not a preference, not a matter of taste, but a flaw in the book. That maybe it's so over the top that it jars you out of the narrative, or maybe it's so over the top that you have to ask, well, would any of these characters, knowing what we know about them, actually talk this way? There's none of that. Instead, it was just a consumer warning and a label on the outside of the book that it has this, so if you don't like that, you might not want to read this. But otherwise, she called it awesome. She called it totally perfect. It is... It is not totally perfect. Now, I haven't read Savior's Champion, but I have read Les Miserables and Pride and Prejudice and War and Peace, and they aren't totally perfect. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that it's not either. It was never meant to be a book review. And Plots and Points is right, that the more of that spreads through BookTube, the more dangerous it is. The more it gets so that the parts of BookTube that are actually trying to think critically about books will do this little balkanized, embattled community, surrounded by a swill of, come on guys, support me. And that's bad. So I wanted to wag my finger in your face on this beautiful Saturday. And second, the points that Plots and Points makes in his video. So I'm going to wrap up for now, but I'll be back, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.